Hash the truth about UK student loans, they are not what you think. If I told you that most British graduates are making a massive financial mistake, not because they took out a student loan, but because they don't actually understand what a student loan asterisk is asterisk, would you believe me? Stick with me for the next 10 minutes, because what I'm about to explain could genuinely change how you think about one of the biggest financial products in the country. And it might just save you thousands of pounds in the process. Right. Let's start with a bold claim. Your UK student loan is not really a loan. I know. It says loan right there in the name. The student loans company sends you letters. There's a balance. There's interest. It looks like a loan. It smells like a loan. But the way it actually works in practice? It behaves almost nothing like the loan you'd get from a bank, a credit card, or a mortgage lender. And because people treat it like a normal debt, they end up making decisions that genuinely cost them money. So let's break this down properly. And whether you're a current student, a graduate 5 years into your career, or a parent trying to figure out whether university is worth it for your kid, this applies to you. Here's the first thing most people get wrong. They focus on the total balance. You finish university, you check your student loan statement, and you see a number like 50, 60, maybe even £70,000 staring back at you. Tuition fees plus maintenance loan, 3 or 4 years worth. And your stomach drops, right? That is a terrifying number. It sounds like a mortgage. And your instinct, your completely understandable human instinct, is to think, I need to pay this off as fast as I possibly can. But here's the thing. That big scary number on your statement. For the vast majority of graduates, it is completely irrelevant. Genuinely. It does not matter. Let me explain why. UK student loan repayments are not based on what you owe. They're based on what you earn. That's the fundamental difference between this and every other form of debt you will ever have. With a credit card, with a car loan, with a mortgage, the amount you borrowed directly determines what you pay back each month. Student loans don't work like that. Not even close. If you're on Plan 2, which covers most people who started university in England or Wales between 2012 and 2023, you repay 9% of everything you earn above £27,295 a year. That's the threshold as of the current tax year. And below that? You pay nothing. Earn exactly 30,000? You're paying 9% of the difference, which is roughly £2,700, so about £243 across the whole year. That's around £20 a month. And if you started university from September 2023 onwards, you're on the newer Plan 5. Same 9% rate, but the threshold is lower, £25,000. And crucially, the repayment window is longer. 40 years instead of 30. We'll come back to why that matters. But here's the critical point. Whether you borrowed 30,000 or 70,000, your monthly repayment is exactly the same. Because it's not connected to the balance. It's connected to your salary. That right there is why people say it works more like a graduate tax than a traditional loan. You earn more, you pay more. You earn less, you pay less. You lose your job? You pay nothing. You go part-time to look after your kids? Your repayments drop automatically. It just comes out through pay, straight from your payslip, handled by HMRC. You don't even have to think about it. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Whatever you haven't paid off after the repayment window, that's 30 years for Plan 2, 40 years for Plan 5, is completely written off. Gone. Wiped. You owe nothing more. And this is not some obscure loophole. This is literally how the system is designed to work. The government knows that most graduates will never repay their full balance. The Institute for Fiscal Studies has estimated that the majority of Plan 2 borrowers will still have a balance remaining when it gets written off. This is the plan. This is how it's supposed to function. So think about what that means in practice. If you're never going to clear the full balance anyway, and statistically, most people won't, then overpaying your student loan is essentially throwing money away. You're reducing a balance that was going to be written off regardless. Every extra pound you put in is a pound you'll never see again, that made absolutely no difference to your financial outcome. Let me give you a quick example. Say you graduate and you earn a steady salary of £35,000. On Plan 2, you'd repay about £690 a year. Over 30 years, that's roughly £20,000 total. Your original balance might have been £55,000. It doesn't matter. You paid £20,000, the rest gets wiped. Now imagine you'd scrimped and saved and voluntarily overpaid £10,000 on top of that. You'd have paid £30,000 instead of £20,000. But the outcome? Identical. The loan still gets written off, you just happen to have given away an extra 10 grand for no reason. 10 grand that could have gone into your ISA, your pension, your house deposit, your emergency fund, places where it would have actually grown and worked for you. Now, and I want to be fair here, this does not apply to everyone. If you're a high earner, we're talking salaries consistently above £50,000, £60,000, £70,000 and rising, there is a crossover point where you actually would repay the full balance before the write-off date. And in that case, the interest you're being charged does start to matter, and overpaying could potentially save you money. But you need to actually sit down and do the maths for your specific situation. There are brilliant free calculators online. Martin Lewis's site has a fantastic one, where you can plug in your salary, your balance, your plan type, and see whether you're likely to clear it or not. If the calculator tells you that you'll repay in full, then yes, overpayments might make sense. But if it tells you the balance will be written off, which, again, it will for most people, then every overpayment is money down the drain. Let's talk about interest for a second, because this is another thing that really winds people up. You look at your statement and the balance has gone *up* since last year, even though you've been making repayments. Interest is being added faster than you're paying it off. And emotionally? That feels awful. It feels like you're on a treadmill going nowhere. But remember what we just discussed. If the balance is getting written off anyway, the interest is meaningless. It's adding to a number that doesn't matter. I know that's hard to internalize. Every instinct in your body says debt is bad, interest is bad, I need to get rid of this. But your student loan doesn't play by normal debt rules. For Plan 5 borrowers, by the way, the interest rate has actually been made more favorable. It's pegged to RPI, the Retail Prices Index, with no additional margin on top. So in real terms, the balance isn't growing beyond inflation. Plan 2 borrowers can be charged up to RPI plus 3% depending on their income, which is steeper, but again, if you're never clearing the balance, the interest rate is academic. Literally academic, in every sense of the word. Here's another massive myth I want to tackle. Having a student loan will wreck my chances of getting a mortgage. I hear this constantly, and it's mostly wrong. Now, will it have some asterisk effect? Yes, in a limited way. When a mortgage lender assesses your affordability, they look at your committed monthly outgoings. Your student loan repayment is one of those outgoings. So it might slightly reduce the maximum amount you can borrow. But, and this is important, it is not treated like normal debt. It doesn't show up on your credit file. It doesn't appear on your credit report. No mortgage lender is going to look at your £50,000 student loan balance and run screaming from the room. They look at the monthly repayment, which, as we discussed, is often a pretty modest amount relative to your income. So please don't let fear of mortgage rejection push you into overpaying a student loan when that money would be far better used as a bigger house deposit. Right. So what should you actually do with all this information? Number 1. Stop panicking about your student loan balance. Seriously. Let that number go. It doesn't control your repayments and, for most of you, it will never be fully repaid. Number 2. Do not overpay unless you have run the numbers and you are confident you'll repay the full balance before it's written off. For the vast majority of graduates, overpaying is the worst possible use of your money. Number 3. Prioritize other financial goals instead. Build your emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses in an easy access savings account. Max out your workplace pension match, because that is literally free money from your employer. Open a stocks and shares ISA and start investing for the long term. If you're saving for your first home and you're under 40, look at a lifetime ISA for that 25% government bonus. All of these things will do enormously more for your financial future than chucking extra cash at a student loan that's going to be written off in 2054. Number 4. If you're a parent right now weighing up whether university is worth it financially, and I completely understand that concern with tuition fees set to rise to £9,535 from next year, think of it this way. Your child is not taking on £50,000 of real debt. They're signing up for a small percentage of their future earnings, for a limited period, that disappears if they don't earn enough. That's a very different proposition. The decision about university should be based on what your child wants to study, what career they're aiming for, and whether that particular course and institution will help them get there. The loan mechanics should honestly be quite low on the list of worries. And number 5, this is the last one. If you're on Plan 1, so you started uni before 2012, your situation is a bit different. The balance is likely much smaller, the interest rate is lower, and you may well actually clear it. That's probably the one group where overpaying can sometimes make sense. But again, run the numbers first. Don't guess. Look, I get it. Everything about the way student loans are presented, the language, the statements, the big numbers, is designed to make you feel like you're drowning in debt. And that feeling is valid. But the reality of how this system works is so much less frightening than it appears on the surface. Once you understand that, you can stop worrying about a balance that doesn't matter and start putting your money where it will actually make a difference to your life. If this has changed how you think about student loans, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I make videos every week breaking down UK money topics in plain English, no jargon, no nonsense, just stuff you can actually use. Drop a comment below and tell me, did you know this already, or has this completely shifted your perspective? I'm genuinely curious. And if you want to know where your money should be going instead, I've got a video right here on the 5 best places to put your cash in 2025. I'll see you in that one.